Rick Sanchez to the stage.
For as far back as I can remember, I've always been very popular with elderly ladies, gay men, and children. If you were a cheerleader or a member of the Swedish bikini team or an underwear model, chances are you've never thought of this as what the kids would call a snack. And I'm fine with that. I've always been fine with that. In my estimation, it's always been more important to me to have unlimited invitations to tea parties, free drinks and karaoke bars, and all the hard candy I can eat. That being said, in the early 90s, I was in a bar in Chicago, and I was stunned to turn around to be greeted by the most stunningly beautiful, tall, leggy blonde I'd ever seen. She said, "Hi, my name's Lisa, what's your name?" I recognized her immediately because her face was on signs, on posts in front yards of single-family households all across my neighborhood. And we got to talking, and because my mom taught me that the most important person in the room is the person to whom you're speaking, I asked lots of questions. The more questions I asked, the more answers I got. The more answers I got, the more I liked Lisa. By the end of the night, I was smitten. We had so many things in common. She liked crossword puzzles. My grandfather had taught me to do crossword puzzles when I was a child. He used to tell me that the structure of the clue was just as important as the clue itself. And he used to get angry and say, if you don't have the nerve to do it in pen, don't do it at all. She had two small dogs, two small schnauzers. I had a Siberian Husky. And she actually laughed genuinely when I teased her playfully about the fact that I understood that she needed the two small dogs, because between them they equaled one real dog. We were Cubs fans from Chicago. I was actually surprised to hear how important that was to me. I would like to think that had she told me she was from the South Side and liked the White Sox, that would have been okay with me, but that's just a lie. This was like 5 years after they installed lights at Wrigley Field, and we both thought that was a travesty. She said that baseball should get played outdoors under a hot sun with a cold beer and a lukewarm excuse as to why you were missing work. And she said she liked cut flowers better than potted plants, and I thought that was an odd thing to have a preference about. And then she said, but with a cut flower, you can change the mood of a room in an instant. And I loved that. It was finally last call, and I walked her to her car, and when we got there, she turned to me and she grabbed my face with both hands. Her pinkies were underneath my ears, her thumbs were on my cheeks, and she looked me right in the eye with that look that says everything. And she kissed me. It was soft and deliberate and apprehensive and interesting and sweet and delicious. It was knee crumbling. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and we did it a lot more. And finally there were only 2 cars in the parking lot. She got in hers and drove away, and I realized that I didn't get her phone number. But that's okay, because her face was on signs in front yards of single-family households all across my neighborhood. So that weekend I was literally walking on air. I could not get a hold of my emotions. I called my parents. I said, I think I met the one. I designed this grand gesture to woo her finally and completely, and on Monday morning I put it into action. I stopped by her office and I left her a card that said, pleasure of meeting you on Friday night was mine. I can't wait to see you again. And on Tuesday, I left a bouquet of fresh cut flowers with a little note that read, thank you for changing the mood of my room. And on Wednesday, Cubs tickets. I asked her to RSVP. By Sunday, the game was going to be the following weekend. I needed a little time to plan. On Thursday, I invited her to come to the dog park with my dog and myself so they could frolic on Saturday morning. And on Friday, the best thing I'd done, I created a handmade, personalized crossword puzzle for her. When she figured out the answers, it would read a sentence that said, "Would you like to have dinner with me?" And it featured fantastic clues like ARC material, in parentheses, sp.var. End of parentheses, which is wood, with a spelling variation. But on Saturday, she didn't show up to the dog park. And on Sunday, she didn't RSVP for the Cubs tickets. And by Monday, I started to worry that maybe she was one of those dead people that show up in people's lives to teach you a lesson. Like eventually her mother was going to tell me, "Oh, sweetheart, she's been dead since 1974. So on Tuesday, I went back to the real estate office and I drove up in front. I got out of the car, and as I did, she came out of the front door. She wasn't dead. She looked me in the eye and she walked right up to me and stopped in front of me, and she said, "I have clients inside that can see me, so I have to be very professional. But I've been on vacation for 15 days, and what I walked into this morning makes me think that you're a psycho, and I don't want to be killed. I'm afraid, and I've called the police, and I don't want you to contact me ever again." And then she turned around and walked back in, and I never saw her again. I never made a grand gesture like that ever again. Thank you.